It's 5 o'clock, and this is Observer Radio News. I'm your host, Laura Godfrey, here with Kazia and Rahul Gupta. In the weather today, Toronto is seeing a chilly -1 degrees with scattered flurries. Now here are the headlines. One baby may be able to save another in Toronto's hospital for sick children. Police are investigating after a plane was stolen from a flight school in Thunder Bay. And a severe aftershock in Italy creates further fear after an earthquake that has taken over 200 lives. Now to our top story. Jason Wallace and Crystal Vitelli knew their 2-month-old daughter Kaylee was born with serious brain condition called Joubert syndrome. But Kaylee's parents are hopeful that their loss could result in renewed life for 1-month-old Lillian O'Connor. Lillian is waiting for a heart transplant. Wallace and Vitelli have approached Lillian's parents to say they hope Kaylee's heart will be eligible for the risky procedure. However, this case has stirred an ethical debate over whether parents should be able to choose who receives their children's organs. Both sets of parents are waiting on a decision. And recent studies have found a significant learning gap between children who come from areas of poverty and those who don't. Malvern Methodist Church at Morningside and Sewell's Roads have developed a series of after-school programs to get youth in the area off the streets and focused on school. Gail Ellis is coordinator of the program and is hopeful about the outcome.
We are here to provide help for students from grade 6 to about grade 11.
At Malvern Methodist Church, about 20 young people are enjoying a series of activities, including cooking, dominoes, and basketball. Once they have finished their homework, of course. Youth in the Malvern area can take advantage of the church's after-school homework program that offers one-on-one attention for students who may not be getting that attention at school. Students from the area falling behind in school is concerning to Ellis, as she is raising her 5 kids in the area and hopes that this after-school program will be able to help them as well.
Most of our kids are really failing in school right now. They need extra help. They need to recognize that help is available, and they need to do it in an environment where they're comfortable and they don't feel like they can't do their work when they're in other places with other people who are doing well.
Ellis is happy that this program is now in a church setting as opposed to a community center where they were before.
We did try this in the community center. Actually, we started in the library. It was very distracting. I was very surprised as to how many people just walk in and out of the library as if it's a social club. And the other students that were there doing their homework kept, getting up and saying hi to everybody. So I just find it was taking away from the purpose of having a quiet space to do your work.
Malvern Methodist Church's after-school program runs from Tuesday to Thursday from 4:30 to 7 p.m. Courtney Roberts, Centennial College News, Malvern.
Authorities are still investigating after a stolen trainer plane took off for an erratic flight from a Thunder Bay college last night. The plane was pursued by 2 U.S. fighter jets until it finally landed in Missouri. The pilot, identified as 31-year-old Adam Dylan Leon, tried to flee after landing. He was arrested half an hour later. According to police, Leon said the stunt was an attempted suicide. Leon has been handed over to federal authorities and will face several charges. And in Italy, a 4.9 magnitude aftershock this morning reminded families it's still not safe to return to their homes after yesterday's earthquake. The disaster has claimed 207 lives so far. Rescuers said this morning that search efforts would continue for another 48 hours. After that time, the chances of survival for victims trapped under fallen rubble will have severely diminished. In the meantime, survivors have been given shelter in 5 tent cities set up on local sports fields. And that's the news today. Now here's Kazia with the world of sports.
Thanks, Laura, and good afternoon, everyone. The Toronto Maple Leafs take on the New Jersey Devils tonight in their last road game of the season. It'll be Martin Gerber getting the start in for net at the Leafs, and Marty Berger for the Devils. The Leafs are looking to break out of a 2-game losing streak. They've given up 14 goals in the past 2 games. They return home tomorrow for a game against the Sabres before closing out the season on Saturday against Ottawa. Puck drops at 7 tonight. The Blue Jays will be looking to build on last night's 12-5 stomping of the Detroit Tigers in Game 2 of their series tonight at the Rogers Centre. The Jays send lefty David Percy to the mound while Edwin Jackson answers the call for the Tigers. The game is scheduled for a 7:07 first pitch. But don't plan on having a cold one if you're there. As a result of past infractions, the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario is suspending the Rogers Centre liquor license for 3 events in 2009, today being one of them. That means no beer, no wine. The other 2 nights will be April 21st against the Texas Rangers and a Toronto Argonauts game on August 1st against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The infractions range from sneaking booze into the stadium, selling alcohol to minors, and people smoking marijuana during an AC/DC concert. The Rogers Centre never faced an alcohol ban before, but has had its problems. In 2008, the sale of alcohol in certain Toonie Tuesday sections was stopped due to drunken and rowdy patrons. If the drink matters more than the game, you can exchange your tickets, depending on availability. The Toronto Raptors are only playing for pride after being eliminated from playoff contention by the New York Knicks on Saturday. But they'll play out the remainder of the schedule, starting with the playoff-bound Atlanta Hawks tonight at the ACC. Tip-off is at 7. And now finally, onto the world of martial arts. Mixed martial arts fighting has been criticized as a violent blood sport that has a bad influence on children. Revolution MMA is a new instructional gym that teaches kids about what they see in UFC, and even hosts birthday parties. Here is Tristan Carter with the story.
A new mixed martial arts gym called Revolution MMA recently opened in the area of Leslie and York Mills Roads. The gym's owner, Joel Gerson, used to fight professionally in Japan. He has hired Carlos Newton as an instructor. Newton has won a UFC welterweight championship and was the first Canadian to become a UFC champ. Some view the sport as overly violent, but the UFC has been moving more towards the mainstream.
It started very gradually. I think everybody says it was the reality show that did it, but I think it was just timing. You know, it was just one thing after another, snowballing. And then I think the reality show helped, definitely. But it just helped also in having some of the major fighters being on television, them getting a little bit more high profile. It just grew.
UFC fights usually air late at night, but younger people have been taking notice as this sport becomes more popular. While some people feel watching the UFC is a bad influence on children, Gerson actually teaches them how to do what they see. The gym even hosts birthday parties for kids inside a caged-in octagon.
You know what has a bad effect on the children is bad parents. I've never seen martial arts have bad effect on the kids. In terms of watching fighting, listen, you got to control what your kid watches. If the kid's not ready to watch Ultimate Fighting, you shouldn't be watching Ultimate Fighting. I see worse things in WWE. Girls wearing thongs and strippers walking around. No one show that 9-year-old.
Not only does Gerson feel there's nothing wrong with kids watching UFC, he thinks there's a benefit to kids getting involved in mixed martial arts.
Different people will take different things away from it. So, I mean, for kids, a lot of the kids need the discipline. Parents don't have the time to discipline the kids, give them the structure, and also goal setting. And that's related to the discipline. And through that comes the confidence. You know, so really what the martial arts is doing for the kids is character building. If it's rounding and balancing the personality. If the kid's too hyper, it's making them calm. If the kid's too shy, it brings them out of his shell. It's a stabilizer.
Gerson even has a playroom in the gym where you can leave your kids while taking a class. In its first few months, Revolution MMA has become a popular success. There have been no reported injuries or incidents involving children. Tristan Carter, Observer Radio News, Toronto.
And that's all for sports. Stay tuned for your entertainment news with Rahul after the break.
Every time my relatives visit, they eat me out of house and home. There is my Uncle Louis. Whenever we have a cookout, he has 2 double cheeseburgers, 3 helpings of baked beans, half a dozen hot dogs, and a diet soda. It is ridiculous. Oh, and talk about like father like son. You should see Cousin Freddy. Every time I turn around, he's got his face in the fridge. This guy doesn't just snack between meals, he snacks between the salad and the entry. I'm sure glad I'm Chopper Win Dixie because they have low prices on everything in the store. Meat, produce, baked beans, everything. Hey, it is important for me to save money on groceries, especially when my Aunt Sophie's idea of a light lunch is anything she can pick up with a fork. So, from the bottom of my pocket, put Queen Dixie. I thank you.
Thanks, Alex, and hello, everyone. Farrah Fawcett is expected to return to her Los Angeles home within the week. She was admitted to hospital for treatment related to anal cancer. But, according to her representatives, not only is the 60-year-old actress fine, she's optimistic about recovering. Kal Penn is going to Washington. The actor has agreed to join the Obama administration following a stint on the TV series House. He will become the new associate director for the White House's Public Liaison Office. Penn said that while he's not quitting acting forever, the opportunity to make a difference now was too good to resist. 13 is not a lucky number for local musician John Hines. He was one of the performers at the Port Union Community Center yesterday. It was the 13th annual Winterfest. He normally leads his band Here Goes Nothing, but after 4 years, he's taking a shot at a solo career. And as Brittany Prince reports, it wasn't the kind of debut he hoped for.
John Hines clears his throat and blows his nose one last time before he hits the stage. He stands at the mic and introduces himself. Then he apologizes to the packed room at the Port Union Community Center. He tests out 2 new songs, thanks the audience, and walks off stage. Later, backstage, he says he didn't bomb, but being sick hurt his performance.
I think it went pretty bad. We're all pretty sick. Couldn't hear anything. Beginning, that was good. And it was our first show ever doing this stuff, so. Yeah, I guess considering. It wasn't too bad, I guess, but first Here Goes Nothing show.
Even though he wasn't feeling well, Hines says he was happy to get a feel for performing his new material that doesn't exactly fit with his regular band's pop-punk alternative feel. He started writing his own songs on the side while recording with Here Goes Nothing. It was a way of getting rid of writer's block. He's now decided to start recording some of these songs.
I guess just because we've been in Here Goes Nothing for 4 years, and we've had ups and downs of people interested, people not interested, and I think doing something different is just kind of good because I look at all the bands right now in the local scene that are a little different than the mainstream, and they seem to get a lot more attention from, higher forces and power.
Hines says you'll see where this new music takes him. He also makes it clear that Here Goes Nothing have not broken up, and they will continue to try to get signed. Brittany Prince, Observer Radio News, Rouge Hill.
And finally, Sonny Rollins and Tony Bennett will be headlining this year's Jazz Festival. The Toronto International Jazz Festival has expanded to 350 concerts featuring nearly 1,500 musicians from across the world. Organizers stated their intention to have a younger roster of acts in order to attract a more diverse audience. By the way, Bennett